right, so let's get into it. Again, starting off with RJ Umberger, the former Columbus Blue Jacket, NHLer, Ohio State Buckeye Hall of Famer. We're really excited to get into this. It's got to be. It feels like, I don't know, you guys. It always feels like hockey season does this thing every year, where it's like 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, and then it's like, oh, it's time for camp. Like hockey season always sneaks up on me more than any other season. Do you always feel that, RJ? Like, did you feel that as a player? Like, oh my God, it's time for us to go back to camp. I'm like at the beach.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, off seasons were short already with depending on how deep you went into the playoffs, and then you take a week or two and then it's turn around and start training for the next season. And you try to spend family time, and if you have kids and everything, you try to get some family stuff and vacations and whatnot in. But a lot of it just goes all about the training and getting ready for the next season. And usually Labor Day comes and it's like, okay, Labor Day's here. Well, I always said like July 4th came fast, and then I would start complaining, oh, summer's over already. July 4th came. Serious, and then Labor Day, and now you're back skating with the guys, and before you know it, camp's right around the corner. So
yeah, normally, so Chad, you made a note about this. Normally we have a guest. We would try to have you on like the week camp starts, but it sounds like you've got some big plans.
Oh, dude, sounds like, I mean, you couldn't join us because remember you said we're looking to get you hopefully on for the first day of training camp, but you couldn't because you're embarking on what I can only assume is a sick golf trip, dude. Like, where are you headed and how's the game?
Yeah, so going to Hilton Head. I have a place down there. Been going down there for a long time, and as soon as I stopped playing, I quickly put this golf trip together. So it's probably 5 years already now. It goes by fast. So it's the 5th annual, and we go down with 12 guys. It's a pretty fun trip. It's pretty legit. Like, we'll play a practice round, and then we'll play 4 serious rounds. And it's cool because there's two like parts to the trip. It's there's an individual championship, so we'll play 4 rounds, and your own ball will be scored the whole time. And then but at the same time we'll do team event, and there's a second trophy for the Ryder Cup style. So we do a high versus pit, 6 guys each. It's a lot of fun. Obviously we wanted the bragging rights with the team award, but you covet that championship trophy. So last year was a lot of fun. It came down to, well, the top 2 guys were in the final pair, and then the team championship actually was tied on the last single match, and we had to go into a playoff. So we did a 1-hole scramble, did 19th hole there, and determined the winner. So it was a lot of fun, and looking forward to this year.
Any credits on the line, or is it just a trophy? Or is it just a trophy?
Oh yeah, there's a cash prize too. So nice. We do some different throughout, some skin stuff, and we have a hole-in-one pot that keeps rolling over, and some other things. So it's a fun week, 4 or 5 days down there, and just unwind. This year it actually lines up with the Ryder Cup too, so nice. Some good TV to watch too.
Are these former players too, or just your buddies?
Yeah, so some buddies from back home in Pittsburgh, and then some family members also. And then here in Columbus, some bunch of old OSU friends I played hockey with here. So nice. I play on Team Ohio since I live here, and so it's good. It's we have a fun time, and my in-laws are the ones that get the rowdiest, and we have that goes all year, just talking about it and the trash talking. So when
is anybody just bad? Like, I'd be that guy that was like, hey, if you give away an award, a cash prize for as many trees that can get hit, I'm going to win that cash prize.
Well, Hilton Head's tough. I mean, there's no rough to grab your ball. It just flies through. And, if you hit it just off a little bit, you're in the trees like crazy. And yeah, I mean, we have the handicaps range from really low to really high. So it's a good mix. You know, most of the bad handicaps are on the Pittsburgh team. The better ones are in Ohio. It's definitely a pro. The way you handicap everything, it keeps it close. So it's a good thing. And they call us the country clubbers. We call them the hackers. So
I was going to say, that's why you decided to go Ohio. Don't get around it now. That's smart strategy there, RJ.
Yeah.
So let's get to some excitement for you before we start really talking hockey. But next month, you got a big event coming next month, and it's not the Ryder Cup golf tournament, Umberger style down in Hilton Head. You are a Pittsburgh guy. You grew up in Pittsburgh, and you're going to be inducted into the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame in October. As a kid from Plum, Pennsylvania, how cool is it for you to get that honor?
Yeah, it's really special. It's you know, I'm very honored, obviously, first off. You know, I don't think as a kid you start and you're like, oh man, someday I hope I'm in the Hall of Fame. You know, it doesn't start out that way. It's all about, you know, just I had so much fun playing the game. I loved it. It's just what I wanted to do all the time. Just play hockey, play sports. And I fell in love and just, you know, quickly decided that, you know, hockey is what I want to do. And I just put everything to it, right? Just worked and you know, had goals along the way, you know, play college hockey, play in the NHL. And, you know, it was always about the short term and just, you know, doing the best you can and having as much fun and enjoying it. And when you have the chance to look back on everything you're able to accomplish, it's really cool, and it makes you really appreciate everything that went into it. All the work, you know, the people that helped get you there, the coaches, my parents for, you know, driving me and paying for all the hockey. I mean, without those people, it doesn't matter. Like you don't have the opportunity. And so it'll be a cool moment, but it'll also be a moment that I'm ready to, you know, I want to share with everybody else that, you know, made that opportunity possible.
Yes, so you're going. Oh, go ahead, Chad.
Oh no, I was going to say, man, growing up, hockey is you need a lot of support because hockey is not a cheap sport to play. Growing up, that's for sure. Yeah, and you know, going into it, man, you're being inducted alongside former NFL wideout and Pennsylvania native Marcus Colston, man. Now I read something that you drafted him on you're a fantasy football guy. You drafted him a couple of times. I mean, did he win you any money? Like, do you owe him a couple of IC lights or something? Or
yeah, he did well for me. But that was back in I think I was actually probably Philly back then when I was playing with the guys on our team and stuff, and I did pretty well in some of my fantasy leagues. But you know, I was always big in the Saints. You know, the Saints passing attack and everything, and so I'll definitely have to share that with him when I see him. But I'm anxious to meet him and some of the other athletes. There's you know, from coaches and ex-players. It's you know, it's a very interesting and very talented class. So it'd be cool to learn more about some other members and you know, enjoy the night.
So this is not the first Hall of Fame you've been inducted to. I mean, you're kind of becoming like a Hall of Fame, you know, round tripper over here. We're an Ohio-based podcast here, and for the second time in 4 weeks here on Garage Beers, we're talking to an Ohio State Buckeye Hall of Famer. You know, let's talk a minute about your journey to OSU. You know, you grew up in Western PA, obviously made a name for yourself in hockey over there. And then you made the decision to come over to Columbus and play for the Buckeyes. Just, you know, what was it about that program? What was it about Ohio State that enticed you to come to Columbus?
Yeah, well, so early on, I knew I wanted to play college hockey, and I was at the U.S. national program when I was in junior and senior high school. So I'm in Ann Arbor, and that was a new program at the time, just the second year. But you know, the opportunity was unbelievable. We're playing against the best, you know, older kids. We're you know, one of the best teams in the country, and we're going overseas. So the exposure was unbelievable. And, you know, it opened up a lot of opportunities for me, and I'm very thankful for that program. And, you know, so college was definitely my route. And, you know, I chose a few schools right off the bat that I was interested in. You know, one was Ohio State, one was Michigan State, Notre Dame, and BU. And, talking to those coaches, seeing the schools, and, I really just fell in love with Ohio State when I stepped on campus here. And, I met the guys, I walked around, and spent a day or two here. And it was just, it was just amazing. And, they had a new arena at the time. It was, interesting to play in that big stadium, NHL style. The Jackets were just coming here to Columbus, so they were going to be right around the corner. A lot of things. The assistant coach at Ohio State at the time was Casey Jones, and he's someone I knew.
Nice.
Amateur hockey growing up. He was involved in some of the different select stuff that I played in. So I had a relationship already built there, and it just was a no-brainer decision for me, honestly.
There's going to be a lot of people that like that answer, that little no-brainer part at the end about Ohio State. We're going to have a lot of people that like that. No, it's one of my favorite things about, right? You get so used to college football, right? And so you talk to recruits that played at Ohio State, and you talk about what are the other schools, and it's like Penn State, Michigan, Alabama, whatever. College basketball, same way. I love the stories of the other teams that are in the list. Like you named a couple other, big programs there, Notre Dame, Michigan State. You just throw BU in there. Like that's my favorite part about college hockey is just these random Denver or like BU or just Quinnipiac.
St. Cloud State.
Yeah, right. These other schools that are just like killer programs in hockey, and they get to compete at the highest level. That is the best part to me about college hockey is like you'd never hear those names ever, except for that. And I'm sure you got to play at some cool places then.
Oh yeah, we played in awesome places. I mean, you play in Minnesota of all those diehard fans, and you're playing in front of we played there out there actually at the Minnesota Wilds Arena right after they won the national championship. It was like 17,000 fans to kick off the next season. This is crazy. So I mean, we got to go to Florida. We played in Alaska. I mean, just cool places that you wouldn't typically get to go to, and it's just like you said, these colleges, some of these schools, they're not so much for their football, but the hockey, and that makes them fun because the hockey atmosphere is just rowdy and intense. And some of those places that have the 4,000 or 5,000 size arenas, I mean, it's really cool to play with the fans are right on top of you, and the students are loud and getting into it. So it's definitely fun. Like Maine's a cool place to go play.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, Maine. Hey, let's just go play in Maine. Maine has nothing else going on up there. Let's go play a hockey game, and it's probably crazy and awesome.
Same thing with Vermont. Vermont is the same way. I've heard Vermont is just a sick place to play.
Hey, listen, I went
New Hampshire. I mean, those places.
I was just going to say, I went to Bowling Green, and the ice arena there was wild. And the team wasn't even good when I was there, but it was wild. It was fun going to those games. In 3 years as a Buckeye, RJ, you become one of the all-time greats in Scarlet and Gray history, hence why you're in the Hall of Fame. You were finalist for Hobie Baker. You were the highest Buckeye ever selected in the NHL draft. That's really cool. When you think about back at your time with the Buckeyes, with Ohio State, just what are one or two of your fondest memories, your favorite times at Ohio State?
Well, I had a class of freshman year of 10 guys, so I felt very fortunate for that. It was a lot of fun, and a lot of my good friends are guys from that class now, and I think that just the bond that we made at Ohio State, and there's a lot of guys that still live here that played hockey, and they're involved in the community, and they're involved in the hockey, and guys that you didn't even play with that now you're like really good friends with. So that, I think, foremost is just the friendship you made there. Being a Buckeye, just how it stays forever is just something special. But I mean, just playing college hockey, I remember it didn't matter what game, but like the national anthem, just standing on the goal line waiting to start it. I remember the chills of every game. I mean, it's something about your students and your school and wearing that on the crest of your jersey. It just meant something. It meant something more of all the people that have been there, athletes before you, and all the students and the history. So it was special. I'm one of the like reasons why I've always done pretty well is I'm really tough on myself too. Like I demand a lot, and I look back at it and I always still wish I would have done more. Wish we would have done more. Wish we would have won a national championship. I look back at the talent that we have and just wish we would have, come away as a champion.
That's why I'm not an athlete.
Yeah.
Man, I brushed my teeth this morning. I did pretty good today.
That's a win. That's a win.
I did pretty good today.
Yeah. Well, that's what life's like now. Day. All right.
Right.
Well, my kids survived, so this was a good day.
Yeah. Does the wife has the wife gotten used to you being home yet? Was it tough at the beginning, or?
It was definitely an adjustment for both of us. Probably more so for her, but I think we're doing pretty well with it right now. We kind of both during the days go our own separate ways. She's a pharmacist that only works a little bit, so she just keeps her license. So she's home a lot. She's been fortunate since I played to be with the kids.
Okay.
But now, we got a routine. Honestly, like, our kids are involved. I have 3 kids and they're involved in so much sports that at night, once they're home from school, like I don't know how we would do it without 2 of us. Like, and even 2 of us isn't enough. We rely on, either babysitters or family or, friends. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. You thought life would calm down a little bit after you stopped playing, didn't you? Nope.
Nope. It's going faster.
So let's just kind of keep moving on with your career a little bit. Ohio State, again, one of the greatest players ever. You're drafted in the first round, the highest ever draft pick that came out of Ohio State back in 2001. You're drafted by Vancouver, but you never lace up for Vancouver, and you wind up kind of missing the whole 2003-2004 season. For a kid that's got the ambition, obviously the talent to break into the NHL and play, what was that year like for you when you're not playing? How hard was that?
Yeah, it was one of the toughest things that I've probably happened in my career. You finished after a good junior year, had a great season, and just was ready to move on and start my pro career. And Vancouver was ready for me to move on, and the Ohio State coaches said I was ready. My agent said I was ready, and I found out the tough part of pro sports, the business aspect of it, and it came down to a contract, and Vancouver realized that they could really negotiate, was all on their end where they could control it. And as a college student, you didn't have many rights, and it was kind of whatever it was, whatever they said. And they lowballed me, and really at that time, it was back before they changed a lot with the salary caps and everything. And the being drafted in the first round at a certain time, it's just like, it was automatic. Like, you got this price, you got these bonuses, and blah, blah, blah. And it was just an afterthought, and you moved up and you started, and there were guys all around me were getting that, and Vancouver didn't get it. And, obviously they took the advice of my agents and, decided, like, we're not going to do this, and we're going to see what happens. And it just turned into a lot longer process. It got a little personal between, the GM and Vancouver and myself. And I just stuck to my guns, really. Honestly, I thought I was worth more. It became something of just, my value and what I believed in. And, I'd hoped the whole time that it was going to resolve and I would get started as, October came and November came, and you're watching these guys all play and your college team's playing, and you can't do anything. It was really tough. So all I could do was I had to literally not play hockey. I went to a US program. I went and lived with a family that I didn't know, and I just went to practice with the US program, and just stay on the ice. So I'm going backwards, it was really tough. At the same time, you're starting to hear people say, like, he's never going to play now. He's ruining it. He's greedy, or it's this and that. And, they start, attacking your character. And it was nothing about that. It was just about what I believed in was right and wrong. And so long story short, it went the whole year. And I got traded at the trade deadline to New York Rangers. But at that point, like, I hadn't played all year. The Rangers honestly didn't even they brought me in for a couple of weeks, and I skated with them in their minor league team. And really, honestly, they were just looking for the second round compensation pick for not signing me. And it worked out better that way anyway, because in a month and a half, I was becoming a free agent. And a free agent, 2 years old, is unheard of. So, a free agent, I could go sign anywhere. And my agents were really good the whole time, being honest and, really gauging the interest level of other teams where it would be, And so I just stuck to my guns. I believed in myself. I believed that I could get stronger and train all off season, stay healthy. And I've said this from day, like I already tell the story. My mindset was, I have a bad injury without an injury. So guys miss seasons of guys get their knee hurt and they're out a whole year. Like I was out the whole year, but I was healthy and I was getting stronger and faster and more ready. So when the next season started, it was a lockout year. So I started in the minors with Philly. I was ready to go.
Now, was it still Hartford at the time, the Rangers affiliate?
Yeah, it was. It was. So I skated there for like 2 weeks, and then they actually, Rangers offered me a 25-game PTO contract, and we were like, why would I sign that and take the risk of getting hurt or whatever when I could be unrestricted in a month and a half. And first day of unrestricted free agency, I was talking with teams, and it was so it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, like, hey guys, that sounds great if I'm 37. Right.
Right.
Like, Jesus.
So it was not the ideal way to start a career. It was a strange process. Again, it was the business side. You probably had to fight that for a few years of just, people thinking your character is one way and just need to go out and prove them otherwise. It just motivated me more, to be honest.
Well, it's the interesting part of, I always love hearing the athlete side of it, because when it comes to like, whenever you hear somebody like, oh, that's the business side of the sport, that's the business side of the sport, it's like always, the teams always get a pass because it's the business side of the sport, whether they trade somebody, oh, it's just the business of the sport, or they don't cut somebody, or they cut somebody from the team. That's just the business side of the sport. And then when a player like kind of plays the business side of the sport a little bit, it's always like, look at this. Look at this guy.
You should have done what was best for the team.
Yeah. And well, and that's what I always try to tell people, right? And we talk about that on this podcast a lot. Your career is short. RJ Umberger is not an old man. And you had your hockey career, right? So the careers are short. Even if you have a good long career, it's still short. You got to get what you can get when you can get it. And it's not all about the money, but like you said, if a team's coming in and lowballing you, that's the equivalent of a player coming in and being like, oh, I want 3 times as much as the next guy, like at my same level. The ridicule always comes back on the player. And it's very interesting to hear your side of the story, because it could not have been easy as a 22-year-old kid to be like, I'm not playing hockey this year.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was really tough. And like you said, it probably started out about the money because the contract wasn't where it was. And then obviously it's why it started and why my agents gave me the advice they did, but it turned into so much more. And I remember one point we met with them, and it was probably like November, and they gave us even worse offer, and they're hardball, and I walked away and looked at my agents and was just shaking my head, and they could tell I was frustrated, and so we went our own ways, and I heard about this from them later on. The 2 agents talking together said, "Yeah, I think he's going to fire us." It's like they could tell that frustrated, but that wasn't it. Like I was sticking to it was nothing about that. I was sticking to my guns and my morals the whole time. And, I believed in what we were doing, and, it all worked out in the end, right? Like it always does. You do things happen for a reason. And I ended up in Philly, which had a great, I'm so glad I ended up there to start my career.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this because there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about with you in Philly. But I love talking about this with any athlete we have on. So you wind up in Philly. You eventually make your way up to the Flyers. You're getting ready to make your NHL debut. Can you still, like, if you close your eyes, can you still feel that feeling of like, oh shit, I've got the Flyers sweater on. I'm getting ready to go make my debut. You come out of the tunnel the first time you're playing in an NHL game. Like, can you still feel that? Can you still feel what you were feeling in that game?
Well, yeah. So that I started that season with the Phantoms, and I played the first 3 to 4 weeks with the Phantoms, and I was on a long road trip, and it was like a 3-3 somewhere up east, and Keith Primeau got hurt and brought me in. So I remember getting that call, and I mean, I had to it was just like chaos from that moment, right? Like calling everybody, telling them that, I'm playing, got to get to Ottawa, I'm playing in the game, and calling my wife like, hey, you need to get out here. My parents are like, oh, whatever, and then I get in the car and I'm driving, like this car service is taking me there. It's like, I forget how many hours it was, 3-4 hours. And I'm driving, like, am I going to get there on time? And, I got to hurry up and get there and get dressed, and just like the emotions and the nerves, like all in one. And you're sitting there and it's like, well, all right, before you know it, hey, you're going out playing your first NHL game, and on the ice, and it was crazy. And I played a solid 5 minutes that night.
Oh, all right.
Just dip your toe in. Just dip your toe in.
Got hit twice really hard, so Cara dropped me behind the net. So it was a good trip. It was all worth it, and got it on video and got my first NHL game.
Dude, I'm glad you said that, because like I one of the questions I had written down here is, you took some of the hardest hits I think I've ever seen in my years watching hockey. Like, I know you just said Chara, but is there anyone that sticks out? And is there anyone that also sticks out that you might have got, I don't know, revenge on, gotten a scrap with? Like, is there any good stories there?
Well, obviously the first one sticks out, the Campbell hit. That was my rookie playoffs. Obviously got hit in Buffalo there. And he caught me with my head down, coming across the blue line there, and I bobbled the puck, and that's kind of why my head was down. And you don't expect it from more of he was kind of offensive and smaller. You don't expect it from him, but he really gave it to me pretty hard. And if you YouTube or whatever, and I still get people sending me messages, and it's obviously a hit that's never gonna play, but it is what it is, That's part of the
people
game.
Sending you messages now like, hey man, are you okay?
Yeah. Both fans funny still. So but there's that, and I mean, obviously I've gotten hit a bunch of times. Stewart got me a couple times. I think Cronwell got me some. I know I got hit pretty hard in the one playoff year with Blue Jackets there at home. By Detroit. So, I mean, there's been a bunch. There's probably too many to remember.
Yeah, well, for so many reasons.
Yeah.
So you're making a career out of it with the Flyers, which I read a great article with your parents, and we'll get to the series in a minute, the Eastern Conference Final. But you guys, you're a Western Pennsylvania family. That's a Penguins family. And you go to the Flyers. That had to be a little bit of an adjustment to put the orange and the black on over there. But it's really like your third year in Philly, man. You just bust out. You got 50 points. You go insane in the playoffs that year. Is that the year where you felt like, okay, like, after all the shit that went on at the beginning, and then kind of having to make my way through, I've had this 50-point year. I've had this amazing playoff year. Like, I'm here. Like, it's all behind, and now it's all up from here.
Yeah, so I got off to a really good start my rookie year. Played with Jeff Carter a lot on the line, and we did a lot of good things. We turned into probably a number 2 line of the team, and we had some success, and hit 20 goals that year, and things seemed great. I got that Campbell hit in the playoffs. We got the concussion, and that summer just wasn't myself. It took me a long time to recover from it. Had some just some things in my, like, trying to get through it. And my training was off. I went into that season in August, like in September, with barely training, not in great shape, confidence level not great. Just it just transferred over to that second year. And our team as a team didn't do well either. I think we were the worst team in the league. So you put all that together, it made a miserable second year. And it really put me I got, was feeling healthy again, obviously, and going into that third year really was like kind of like, like let's get it back together, get the train back going the right way here, and really committed in the off season. My cousin was my trainer most of my life. I called him up one day. I said, "Hey, quit your job, come out and live with me." So I built a gym in my basement,
Yes.
and
Okay.
he lived with me, and we really crazy hard all summer, went after it. He pushed me to different levels, and I went into that third year with so much confidence, so much speed, so much just ready to go, and it definitely propelled me to a great third year there. And it all came together at the playoff time, had a great playoff, and from there on it was just it was my that was my how I wanted to train from now on every summer. Like it had to be like that. So yeah.
He's like, all right, I'll pack a bag. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it led to a lot. Like, he quit his insurance job and he came out and he did that because that was his first love anyway. So it gave us the opportunity to get back to him training me. And then from there, we end up opening up a gym back in Pittsburgh from that moment on. And, that kind of was the start to it. So, yeah.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Well, let's talk. I mean, let's talk about that playoff run a little bit, man.
Let's talk about that.
You guys weren't favored against the Caps or Habs at all, but you closed out the Caps in 7 in the first round, and then you took out the Habs in 5. Dude, that Montreal series, you're on a tear, dude. 8 goals in 5 games. Like you dominated that series. Like Montreal had no answer for you. Like, was that the hottest you've ever felt?
Yeah, it had to be. It was just one of those moments you're just in the zone, right? And
yeah,
it's weird. All started too was because like I said, I had a great year and I got hurt right towards the end of the year, sprained my knee, and I missed like 6 games. I came back for the last like 2 of the regular season, but at that time, the lines kind of got changed. Somebody stepped up in my absence. That line was doing really well, so I came back and I'm playing on the 4th line to start playoffs, and not getting a ton of ice and confidence down a little bit, but just pushing through, and I scored a couple big moments in that Washington series, but really. Obviously we had a big game 7 win, just, feeling good about that. And then Montreal came and it was like, I don't know, just something clicked. It started on the 4th line that game. And then first game. And then all of a sudden it's a couple goals go in and it just kept going from there. And, it's funny because like, I remember thinking like every game too, like, man, I'm feeling it and I'm in the zone right now. Like, how am I not going to be stopped tonight? Like that's just how you feel when you're in this. It was one of those moments, and it was a series that probably I'll never forget. Be honest with you, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you got Montreal over there. They're pulling Carey Price, trying to we just got to figure out how to stop fucking Umberger. Like he is tearing us up. They're pulling Carey Price. That doesn't work. You're scoring goals. And every goal you scored, it either felt like you started the game with a goal, or like you guys would get out to a lead, and then Montreal would start coming back a little bit, and then you would just bury one to put Montreal away. Like it was just like it was daggers. It literally is one of the greatest playoff series for an individual performer, literally ever. Like 8 goals in 5 games is crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely probably one of the highlights of my career. Just that team, we kind of, overachieved that year. Guys kind of didn't think much of us, and we just kept winning and made some good additions, trade deadline, and Marty Baron was in net for us, and he got really hot in that series.
Yes.
And he loved playing against Montreal too. And I don't know, it's just something when we were in that building and those fans chanting, and then you just quieting that crowd. It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
that's how I feel when I golf and I have 1 par in a row, and I'm like, who's gonna stop me now? And then I bang one into the trees. So then the next matchup, and obviously not as favorable as an outcome for you guys as the Flyers, but a dream matchup, right? Like Eastern Conference Finals. The dream matchup for a Pennsylvania guy. You've got the Flyers and the Pens. And that's basically like, you can't get the Flyers and the Pens in the Stanley Cup final. So this is as close as you can get to that. You know, what was it like taking part in that series as a Pittsburgh kid on the Flyers? And then again, like I said before, I read a Trib Live story that from years ago that they did on your parents, that like they were like, how are you handling this allegiance to the Penguins with your son on the Flyers? And they're like, we buy everything with the Flyers. Like, we're Flyers fans.
Yeah, it was that was quite the series. I mean, that was something fun. You know, that was special to be able to do that and go into Pittsburgh and play. And you know, we thought we were gonna win. Like I'm thinking, and I know guys on the team, like we're rolling, like we're going on to the Stanley Cup and we're gonna win the Stanley Cup. So you know, obviously it was a disappointment to not win in Pittsburgh. They were good. I mean, obviously they lost in to Detroit that year, then won it next year. So you know, they were peaking. They had obviously dynamite players and Crosby and Malkin. And, you know, we took a blow early on in that series. We lost Kimmo Timonen into a blood clot, and then we lost one of our other defensemen too. So it was just too much for us to overcome. And, you know, they were that time, they were tough for us. They had our number, and, you know, we just couldn't beat them. But I think it was really fun for my family, my friends to be able to do it. They were conflicted. Obviously, they would cheer for me, but root for the Penguins, my friend. But, I talk about some like just cool times, though, cool memories for all of them to be at those. Not only at a playoff game, but at a playoff game where one of your friends is playing it was pretty neat. So they enjoyed it, but there was definitely some heat to it. You know, like my in-laws wearing one of my jerseys in Pittsburgh and just getting, you know, things thrown at them. So it was definitely the rivalry was definitely there, and it was good. It was going strong.
Listen, RJ, we love you, buddy, but like totally F you, go Pens.
Listen. We hope you have 5 points and the Penguins win 6-5. That's okay.
Yep. That's pretty much what my friends would tell me.
Yeah.
You get it, right? You get it. You understand.
Yeah. Right.
So, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
no, all right. Go ahead, Chad.
Oh, fine. It's my world. You're just living in it, Mike. Now, after that season, man, you were dealt back to Columbus to the Blue Jackets. When you got that news, what went through your mind besides maybe going to the library and having a few sodas?
Yeah. So, well, after that playoffs, you knew my contract was up, and then they were salary cap trouble, Philly. So you knew there was going to be some kind of casualty, whether it's myself or there was talks on maybe Mike Knuble or somebody. You know, they had Jeff Carter and Mike Richards they had to re-sign to and everything. So, you know, with the playoff that I had in the season, you know, a raise was in order, and it just kind of made sense. And I happened to be traveling actually down to Hilton Head that time, and stopped at a friend's house along the way, and went and had some. We went and golfed, and my dad called me while I was golfing. He's like, "I hear the rumors that you might get traded to Columbus," and I'm like, "Yeah, all right, Dad, don't bother me with this. I'm playing golf right now." So I got golf with him.
Shut up, Dad.
I'm just sitting there getting ready to eat my meal, and I get a phone call, and it's Hitchcock from Columbus saying they just traded for me. So obviously, you know, at that moment I was, you know, kind of shocked. I think he knew it was coming, but still shocked to hear it when it actually does. And, you know, a lot of emotions go through. So that night kind of went really fast, talking to so many different people. And, you know, I don't even think I finished my meal that night, but you know, so it was at first, you know, you're like, okay, well, Columbus, I've been there before. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be really cool. Like, go back to where, you know, I played college, and, you know, I know so many people, and it's kind of close to home. And, oh, man, like, this is going to be great. Like, okay, I got more and more excited about it. Then talking to Hitch and, you know, talking to different people in Columbus, like, they were really pumped about it. So, you know, I couldn't wait to finally come back and get settled in here.
By the way, side note, did you ever drink beers at the library at all? Do you remember that bar?
Oh, in Philly?
No, in Columbus. In Columbus.
In college, yeah. So actually, it's funny thing. It's funny you say that though, because the library, there's a restaurant called the Library out in Philly where I lived. And,
okay.
They had amazing steak, teriyaki steak. So like we would go there all. But yeah, the library. Yeah, back in college, I did go there. Yeah.
Chad, it sounds like you have some stories from the library, buddy.
Yep.
Oh no, I have a bunch of stories from the library, but the one time I went and visited my friends at Ohio State, we went out, we started drinking at the library, and my mom called me for whatever reason late at night for some reason, and she goes, "What are you doing right now, Chad?" I go, "I'm at the library." She thought I was studying. She thought I was like wasted studying, and I'm like, but like I wasn't lying. Like I was at the library. I was just not studying.
Leave me alone, Mom. So listen, you come to Columbus, a franchise at that point that had never made the postseason, a franchise that, again, younger fans or fans in general kind of get it, but like the way that expansion teams worked back in the day is not the way expansion teams work anymore. Yeah. And Columbus basically just gets dealt this hand of like, good luck to you. And it takes them a long time to figure it out. And so you come in, this is a team that has never made the postseason, and your first season in Columbus is just an indisputable success. Not only do you build off of what you did in Philly the year before, you score the most goals of your entire career that first year in Columbus, but for the first time in franchise history, you guys find yourself, the Columbus Blue Jackets find themselves in the playoffs. Just what do you remember about the buzz of the city at that time, and how starving that fan base was for that playoff appearance?
Yeah, that year was special. We were underdogs all year, and no one took us really seriously. And they made some good moves that year with bringing in Commodore and Salius and myself, and kind of just revamped the team a little bit. Had some other good veterans like Pekka and Chimera and Jan Heda, and it was a good group that was determined. And Steve Mason came in, and as a rookie year was one of the best goaltending I think I've maybe ever seen. That year he was absolutely lights out, and it was a fun year. Just the ride, seeing you go around town, and I would see some Ohio State guys, and they're like, "Yeah, you guys are doing pretty good. Are you for real? You think you guys pulled it together?" And, it's like, yeah, we just keep following us, and just slowly seeing a town,
right?
More and more fans coming, and then really the page starting to turn a little bit. And I'll never forget when Nash scored to clinch our first playoff, and how exciting it was, and how great we felt, and how thrilled we were, and to get into the playoffs. Obviously, just we played Detroit, and we just weren't there yet. We were they were a world-class team, and we were a team that was just getting our feet wet. So, it was what it was, but it was a great experience.
I love your old buddies from Ohio State. Oh, you guys think you're going to keep it together? Yeah, Ted, how's your job at the bank? So the other coolest thing, you're an all-time trivia answer. You're an all-time trivia answer for the rest of your life and into history. You are a trivia answer because you scored the first goal in Blue Jackets playoff history. Just kind of walk us through that moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't in the first game.
No, that's true.
It was a game in Detroit. The puck, I think, got chipped into the corner, or Jake Voracek skated into the corner. I think he tracked it down the corner, and he beat his guy in there, and he won the battle. And obviously, I went to the front of the net because that's kind of what I did. And Jake just threw it to me in front, and I actually had caught it on turn, and had it turn and quickly backhand it, and it. I think it was so fast that it caught Osgood by surprise and went through his legs. So, cool trivia question. Wish we could have scored more of that game, though.
Yeah, right.
No, but I think it's cool. Listen, I think it's cool. It's just, there are those moments. I don't know how many of them you could do. I don't, some players are like savants about at minute 13 of this random game in December, I did this. But there are those moments where, again, you can just sit here and describe, it was Voracek, and he did it just probably is still so clear to you that I think that's just the coolest part about hearing that story. Chad, sorry, I thought I cut you. I cut you off, and you were talking, Chad.
No,
I know how sensitive you are.
Man. Like I said, man, it's your world. I'm just kidding. Okay, so this doesn't really have anything to do with the playoffs, but it's with your time at the Jackets, man, because you were one of the reasons that we had such a rivalry with the Blues, man. I remember one game you got into it and at the Blues room, like before the game, and then we went out and just beat the ever-loving shit out of them, man. What happened to, what was the story there?
Yeah, so I guess I could probably tell that whole story now. So it was at home. Kind of like when you're in your rinks, right? Like both teams will warm up and they'll play soccer and whatnot. But usually it's like you're on two separate ends of the rink, right? Like no one near each other. Well, we were in like the Zamboni area. That's kind of like where we always warmed up. And, there wasn't a great area, I guess, for the visiting team to warm up in at Ishawite, or I don't know where they do now, but so they were kind of in our area, right? And our guys were playing soccer and they kind of had to move a little bit over. And it just like, we didn't have good blood between the two teams already. Like the way it always went, like we just didn't like each other. And I didn't play soccer when I warmed up, but it just, I had to be the guy. Like I had to go off by myself and just like get myself mentally right. I'd stretch, do some running, just get myself fired up. I listened to some music and whatever. So I'm doing my sprints and like they're right where I'm running. Like I want to run, like, and I'm like very routine, like, right, like superstition. Same order, same times, running the same spot. In every rink I play, I have my thing, and so they're there in my way, and it's just like it's pissing me off, right? So I run through them, like I run through their game, and they didn't like it, and so we get into a little chirping back and forth, and next thing you know, like I get surrounded by like 5 or 6 third guys.
No.
This is going to get ugly. Like there's going to be blows thrown. So our guys came over and they broke it up. But I mean, it definitely like, reporters and people took notice, and obviously he did that really fast, but I was pissed off. Like, I'm like, I thought like, get them out of here. This is our space. Like, this is how disrespectful. This is our rink. Like, this is our area. Go somewhere else. Like they shouldn't have been there. And that's what pissed me off. And I think anybody ever knows me that just knows that kind of I carried it like on my sleeve of my, like I just showed my a lot, right? Like, so
right,
I didn't hold things back, and that's kind of the way I was. Like I was, you saw what you got from me, and it led into that game. There was a lot of motion for that game, and we came out fired up, obviously. And,
yeah. Were you? Yeah, you were kind of like you were kind of like a goalie. Everybody knew like let RJ do his thing before the game. Let RJ do his thing.
Yeah. Just he's gonna go off to the side and be a little psycho, so just let him go.
yeah.
I just love picturing you just running through some random circle soccer game. It's like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, like, what an idiot.
No. Hey, listen, the team had your back. That's what we love to see.
Yeah.
So. Where were we? There we go. So following that first year, you get named alternate captain, and alongside Rick Nash, you dotting that A on your jersey for 4 seasons. So first of all, that Nash Umberger kind of connection there for several years. What kind of bond were you able to form with Rick? And what did it mean to you to really be, considered by your teammates, by your coaches, the organization, to be a real leader for that team?
Yeah, it was a huge responsibility and something that I really took serious and was very honored, to be honest with you. If you're a captain of any NHL team or any team, it's it's a big responsibility. And I looked up to Rick a lot. I thought he was, obviously an unbelievable player, but a great guy off the ice. And he was a captain, and but I thought Rick and I worked well together. I thought there was a mutual respect there, and a friendship, and we still keep in touch, and we still see each other here. Our kids play together, so it's fun to see each other. But I think we leaned on each other a lot. Rick's a little bit quieter. I can be quiet too, but when I have something to say, like, I'll say it. So there were some moments where I said some of the tough things in the locker room and whatnot, and I thought we did the best we could, right? Like we probably underachieved for a few years, and things didn't go after that first playoff year the way we wanted to. And end of the day, I think we took a lot of responsibility. At least we tried to, and just always wanted to be better. But we definitely both took the role seriously, and I think we enjoyed working together. Obviously,
true or false? There was that story that was reported for you and Rick that when Claude Noel took over as the coach, he called a weekend practice and then didn't come to the weekend practice. So you and Rick put the team through a practice anyways. Did that happen?
Sure.
Love it.
All right.
What is like? I mean, what a statement for you two guys. And was there any grief from the team, or was it like, all right, like these are our leaders, we're gonna go, we're doing this practice?
No, there wasn't any grief. It was more like, what the heck's going on? It was just kind of
the coach.
Just weird. Like, he just took over, and like things are like Claude was a great guy. He did some really strange things and things that we were all just trying to get accustomed to and try to make the best of it. But that was a different, interesting moment. I can honestly say that's the only time that's ever happened in my career.
Listen, you guys have practice this weekend.
Yeah.
I've got a tea time. So go ahead and take care of that.
Yeah,
and I'll see you at the game.
Like, no, didn't even tell us. Like, just didn't, like, we had practice and then no coaches came out. So it was like, all right, well, actually I can't, like, this, maybe a couple assistants might've came out, or so I can't remember, but it was just like, yeah, like we basically had control, and it was strange. Yeah, but we made the best of it.
The next time you saw him, was he like, oh yeah, sorry, or was he just like, just moved on?
Gosh, I don't know. I think we didn't even talk about it, to be honest with you. I don't. It was so long ago.
Somebody's just gonna be like,
you know what? I heard he was in the building too, just watching. So I don't even know.
Maybe that was the test. Maybe you guys passed the test.
I think so.
You and Nash took the reins and passed the test. So again, like you said, those seasons after that playoff appearance didn't probably go the way that everybody was hoping. But I think you said it right when we were talking about your playoff season. You guys were just getting that taste of it, and you weren't maybe quite where you needed to be to make that true sustained playoff push, as we saw. But a few years down the road, the dynamic duo there gets broken up, and the Jackets trade Nash. What's the feeling and the emotion for you when that happens?
Yeah, that was a hard moment. It wasn't even just Nash. It was some of my other guys that I've become pretty close with at the times. Like Broussard, Mason was on, Thought. Just some guys that since I got there were there. Voracek obviously was gone a year or two before that. And, so you're starting to see a lot of familiar faces. Dorsett left, guys were leaving. So that was a hard thing to adjust. But again, that's the business aspect. You have to just keep moving on. But, they did a great job, and they brought a lot of quality character guys and guys like Jack Johnson and Dubinsky at the time. And Mark Letestu came in, and guys that other new leaders and new guys that wore the jersey really well, and so it was a changing of the guards kind of a thing, and which was really different because Rick had been there for so long. So it was hard at first.
You just started listening to those names, and I just thought, you know what, maybe we're just making it a goal here on the Garage Beers podcast to get like the entire 2013 Columbus Blue Jackets roster, because like everybody you listed, we've had on, which is awesome, and we think that is we love talking to you guys. But so here we are, 5 years out, because go ahead, Chad wants.
No, I was going to say, before we get off of your career here, RJ, I don't know if it was like this back in college, because I know nowadays you got to wear the full cage. But you were a no visor guy. Like, was there a reason for that, or did you just didn't like them, or?
Yeah, it started, you start out your career. It was the old stigma of, you're a wimp if you're wearing a visor, right? Like,
yeah,
tough guy or no visor. And I was a big player. I wanted to play a bigger style, in front of the net, kind of, power forward kind of style. And, I wasn't going to wear a visor. And then, it quickly started to change, obviously, like, the stigma and the head shots and all that, and the concussion talk. And I mean, I constantly got it from my parents and my family, like, put a visor on.
Yeah.
I think coaches and when JD came, JD wanted everybody to have visors and whatnot. Like, I just was too stubborn in my ways. Like, I did think it's a vision thing, like, after playing so long without it, like, I didn't want it. And yeah, I wasn't gonna. I probably never would have put one on.
Your wife's over there like, RJ, have I mentioned how much I love your teeth?
Yeah.
So again, we're going to move off of the career. You went back to Philly after your time in Columbus. You go back to Philly and you wrap up your career there. And here we are 5 years later, which has got to be just incredible to believe. And now you're getting back in the coaching game. You're back in the game. Obviously, you've got kids growing up playing sports. You've got a son. By the way, can we talk about this for a minute? Because you talked about your cousin coming in and like living with you and training you and getting you in like the best shape of your life. I want to talk about you as a dad for a minute. You built, I want to say this was back in like 2017 or something in the house. You built the coolest playroom for your son ever. You built an entire room in your house that basically is like a mini sticks hockey rink.
Yeah.
Does that still get used?
Yeah, it gets used, probably not as much as I wanted to, but it's, it probably was more of a thing that I was building it from my childhood, right? Like, because that was my entire mini hockey sticks in the hallways and every, trip we went on for hockey. But yeah, my son, he plays with it. It might be a little bit too big, actually, like too long of a room for it. Like, should I made it a little smaller? But I kind of actually want to turn it into like a synthetic ice room now, but I haven't quite committed to that. So I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I think you should open that up to like your buddies.
Yeah.
Like I'm like a mid-30s dude, and I'm looking at that room going, man, just a 6-pack of beer and some mini sticks. Let's go.
Yeah, you forget how bad it is on your knees. Like, I think as a kid, like, you just there. I do it now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my knees. Like, I can't do this for more than like 15 minutes. I'm done for a week.
All right, kid, I got to go watch the football game. You play. All right. So again, you've been coaching U16, U18. So just kind of talk about that. Talk about just being in the coaching game. Is that something you were interested in when you were a player? Did you always think kind of after your career? I think that's such a natural progression, but you'd want to get into the coaching game. And is there somewhere you want to go with that?
Yeah, I think coaching was something I always kind of wanted to do. I always was very into the X's and O's part of the game. I took it pretty serious and followed it pretty naturally. So I always thought I could think the game pretty well. So I think, but because you could play, though, it doesn't mean you're going to be a good coach. So you have to be able to learn to translate to the players, and you have to also be willing to learn. The game's changing. There's so much about coaching that's different. And so I'm still, figuring it out and learning along the way too. But, trying to teach these kids as much as I know that I can give to them. But it's fun. It's a way to stay connected to the game, right? Like, it's just that it brings out the competitiveness, practices and skill stuff like that. That's one thing. But when you coach a team in an actual game, that's pretty neat. Like, you get your competitive juices get going, and like you get really into it. But it's really weird because it's challenging because you can't go out and do anything. So it's,
I'm going in.
You'll be in a tight game, and it's like you get nervous a little bit, but it's like, man, if I was a player, like, I wouldn't even be nervous thinking about this. I'd be like just waiting to pour over the boards and go. But as a coach, like, you can't go do that. You have no control. So it's a different type of thing.
Yeah, that do you notice anything like almost generationally, like with players now that you have to adjust to, and like as a whole that you have to adjust to that was different from like when you were coming up?
Well, I think there's a lot of rules that are changing in just in USA hockey and whatnot. The hitting is changing quite a bit. There's not that like when I played at the youth level, like, we wanted to run around and just kill you. like see who could get the biggest hit, right? Like that was the cool thing to do, and that is gone from hockey now, and it still hangs on a little bit. And those players that do and those teams that do just find themselves in trouble. So there's a way of learning. They need to learn and play to the new rules. It's a lot of stick on stick kind of contact. It's a puck possession game, so teaching these kids to make plays with the puck and don't dump it and chase and just throw it, and that kind of old teaching and old North American habits is kind of gone now. So it's challenging for these guys, and it's fun to help them through it.
All right, RJ Umberger, before we let you out of here, we got to talk a little bit about this year's Blue Jackets and what's going on with the team. Obviously, it was a tough year last year. Kind of what you experienced when you were with the Blue Jackets on players, Rick Nash and company being dealt out. That was kind of the year that Blue Jackets fans dealt with this last year with fan favorites like Nick Foligno, David Savard, Riley Nash, all leaving. The coach, obviously, Tortorella gone at the end of the year. Seth Jones departs in the offseason, completely expected. And then all of a sudden, as he's signing autographs at Nationwide Arena, basically during the draft party, Cam Atkinson dealt to Philly. So it just an incredible amount of turnover for the Jackets this year. We talked about a little bit about what it was like for you to be a player in a circumstance that saw a pretty good amount of turnover. But like, if you, let's put on your coaching hat for a minute. If you were a part of the coaching staff for this team, that's going to have to basically re-gel all over again. How do you help the team? What kind of advice do you give these players going into the season?
Well, ultimately, it's going to be the players ready, willing to just buy in and all come together as quick as possible. And, it'll be a challenge at first, but nothing that's not they can't do. Not a lot of new faces, just means more players determined and more opportunity. They brought some good players in. They have a lot of talent. It's just getting it together. So there's always that underdog chip on your shoulder type of thing here in Columbus. And I think that mentality's got to stay for a while for this team to continue to be successful. And, if they have that mentality of, prove everybody kind of wrong kind of a thing, it goes a long way. And I think, this team doesn't have to be as good as last year, the year before that. Like they're a new team. They got to be the best team they can be this year. And, they need different guys to step up and lead. Boone will be there, obviously, but there's going to be opportunity for new people to come in and lead. And, I think it'll be a good challenge for them. And, hopefully they can get off to a good start, get the confidence up early. But, it'll be an interesting year to see what happens.
Yeah, and then enter in Brad Larson, who joined the Jackets the same year. You were dealt back to Philly. What are your impressions and expectations of Lars?
So, I could see why a lot of the players wanted him to be the coach. I met Lars was around in the minors, obviously my last couple of years in Columbus. So I met him at training camps and whatnot, and just talking to him. He's obviously a lot of experience, very educated, very intense. He's player friendly. He's a player's coach, but he demands a lot, and that's a good thing. So he's learned from one of the best in Tortorella. So obviously they've left him in good hands, and I think they have high expectations for him. And I think these players are excited to play for him. And that's a good thing too. So hopefully a lot of good things to come, and you see him here for a long time.
You brought this name up a couple times because we're talking about the turnover of the roster. You brought this name up a couple times. There's probably not a lot of better players to give us a little insight, but enter in Jake Voracek again, who is going to bring a little veteran leadership. I know everybody was completely blindsided by Cam being dealt back to Philly, but here comes Voracek again. What can he do for this team? This is a team that, like you said, it's not devoid of talent. There's guys on this team that have not put up the numbers that they hope to / are expected to, can a guy like Voracek, a veteran like that, come in and help open things up for this team?
Yeah, Jake's going to bring the same kind of attitude he always has. He's a little bit carefree, good for the locker room. He's, just an all-around great guy. Like, there's not a person in the world that doesn't get along with Jake. And that guy can play hockey. Like, he can really play. He's a great player. He's still a good player. He has years left in him. He's probably coming here, I assume, a little bit motivated. Coming back to Columbus, probably not how the last year went in Philly for him. And, he should do great things here. He's very familiar, so he'll be comfortable. I'm sure he still has contacts here in Columbus and everything. And he's a guy that is going to be good for the team because he's going to be a possession type guy. He can hang on to the puck. He can take it up and down the ice. He's an amazing playmaker. The fans from before would probably remember, like, he moves the puck so well, especially on the power play. It'll be really interesting to see if he's able to develop some chemistry with Lane here, and see if they're able to get some chemistry and gel together and see what it could do for his game. I mean, having a guy like Jake pass through the puck, it could be a dynamite situation. So I'm sure that's what Jarmo's hoping on, and we shall see. But I know Jake's he's a heck of a player, and they're lucky to have him.
Now, this may seem like a dumb question, and I've been known to ask a bunch of them, RJ. But like we talked about gelling when it comes to hockey. Systems don't change that much from coach to coach. So when you talk about gelling in hockey, is that like a communication thing between the guys? Is it like a feel thing? Like if Jake's, if Jake and Pat and Laine got a 2-on-1 going down the ice, is Jake just assuming he knows where Laine is going to be? Like, what's that communication like, and how does gelling become a thing? Become a thing.
It's a pretty dynamic question because there's a lot to it. Like, there's an off-ice aspect to it. I think, getting along and being friends off the ice means something. I know, like, anytime I've had lines that worked really well, like we were, as a line, we were off the ice. We went to dinner together, things like that. It helps. Okay. I think on ice, your games need to match up a little bit. Same styles, or not the same exact styles, but like styles that like work together. Like somebody that you can't have two guys that want the puck the whole time. You can't have two guys that, just one guy's kind of all over the map and you can't just figure out where he's going to be and things like that. And I think that also you got to have confidence and trust from a coach, and a little bit of a freeway given where you can go out and know that you can go on as a line or whatever and just, do what you want to do and play how you want to play and let your skill and stuff take over. Sometimes when you're restricted on that end, it could be a little tough. So, there's so much to it. Sometimes it's just confidence, right? Like you have one game together and it's all of a sudden it's like it just builds and builds. Or, if you play the first game together and, it just doesn't work out. And then, there's a lot of negativity in there, right? Like it's blocking it. It's just not working. And so now you're forcing it. Now you're trying too hard. And sometimes some of the best lines and combinations just happen, right? Like this guy works hard and he works hard in areas where it just complements where I'm always at, or, whatever. There's no right rhyme or reason to some of it sometimes.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go then. Now I have one more question for you, and I know Mike has one more to finish it out here, RJ, but mine is a bit different. But have you seen this documentary on the Danbury Trashers yet?
I have not. No, I have not.
Dude, you have got to check it out. It is unreal.
What is it?
It was this U-Haul team called the Danbury Trashers. Okay. And it was run by the Galante family. This guy's name is Jimmy Galante. It's this, and to put it in perspective, this was the same family that The Sopranos was loosely based off of. So this guy, he buys a minor league hockey team and he puts them in Danbury, Connecticut, where there was never any professional hockey before. And he appoints his 17-year-old son AJ to run the hockey team.
Yes.
and it just, the craziness goes on from there. Here, I'll give you one thing because I don't want to spoil all of it. So there was just this goon. His name was Brad Wingfield, right? And he was their tough guy. And before the home opener in the inaugural season, I guess Wingfield was on the ice. He was starting. So he looks over at the bench, and there's, the boss, Jimmy Galante, with a cell phone. And oh, I'm sorry. There was a coach hanging there with a cell phone. The coach had a cell phone out. So Brad skates over. He gets on the cell phone, and I guess it's Jimmy. And Jimmy goes, "Brad, as soon as the puck drops, you drop your fucking gloves." And it's that type of craziness that
Let's
goes
go.
on. It's purely entertaining, man. It's purely entertaining. But
is it Netflix?
Yeah, it's Netflix. It's called like Untold, like Crimes and Penalties, and it's this doc on the Danbury Trashers. It's incredible, dude.
I'll have to check it out.
All right, so I'm gonna finish with, we've talked to you about hockey, we've talked to you about golf. I do want to know, how's the fantasy football team looking? That's not my question though, but how's it looking?
Pretty good. Tough first week. I had the third highest points and I lost, so that's lost by 1.8.
That's what. So the three of us are in a league, and that's what happened in our league. The top 4 players all played each other, and Chad had the worst score in the league this week. So I want to make sure we talk about that. So I want to let you end as a dad, right? We're dads. I'm a dad. Chad's a dad. Joe will get there eventually. As a pro athlete, you're raising kids, and you put pictures up of your kids, your girls playing soccer, your son playing hockey, your kids are coming up in sports. I want to know what a message is that you, as a guy that grew up and made it, right, had an insanely successful career. You lived the dream, right? You lived that dream that you set out to live, and are still doing it now, I'm sure. What's the message you give to other parents about raising kids in sports, about the best way to go about doing that, and talk a little bit, I guess, about your parents and how they supported you and made you, helped you fall in love with hockey so that you could be successful?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think one thing that I try to do is I try not to put any pressure on my kids. The reality of it is, like, the percentage of kids that make it play professional sports is so ridiculously small. It's unbelievable. I support any dream that they have, absolutely. But I put no pressure on them whatsoever. To me, it's about having fun, the memories they make, the friendships they make, and the life lessons they make. And for my kids, I just want to be there to support them. I just want to be dad. I try not to be, I try to be their number one fan, the bigger support. I don't want to be, I've read a couple books recently, just trying to, like, how you kind of motivate, a young athlete, and then, like, the parent kid relationship and everything. And it's really important, like, that I'm trying to do is just, be dad, and don't be the one that as soon as the game's over, tell them this, that, and everything. Like, let the coach teach them and everything. And, if they want to talk to you about it, they will talk to you. But know that you're just there, support and everything. And, just be along with the journey with them. So that's what I try to do. I love every second of it. I love going to their games. I feel so appreciative that my career is over, that I do get to see everything. Because right now, if I do miss something, like, I'm going to miss some soccer games with my girls this weekend, coming up when I'm in Hilton Head, and it drives me crazy. Like, it's really hard. So
yeah, I
love every second of it. I love supporting them and watching them. And obviously the competitive nature gets deep into me, where I, something, I want to get them going. But I try to just be dad.
I love it. And I hope other people hear that. And I think it's a great message. So RJ Umberger, man, this was so fun. We are gearing up for hockey. You're gearing up for a golf trip. But if you ever need a couple of schlubs to bring some beers down and get going in like a mini sticks tournament, we are your guys.
Right.
Brought to you by the Garage Beers podcast. It'll be a mini sticks tournament. We're totally in on that. But RJ, it was a blast. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we can connect again down the line.
Yeah, thanks, a lot of fun, and I hope it's a great season here ahead.